I'm Katie McManus, business strategist and money mindset coach, and I am here today with Jackie Oisbeek, who is an amazing OBM. Her business is Iced Analyze, and I mean, I just love that you use Mary Poppins as a reference point. I have to admit something though. I've never actually seen Mary Poppins.
Well, now when you're sitting on a Friday night, you need to order in some takeout just to have a quiet day. You got a movie to watch.
Well, I technically have two movies to watch since Emily Blunt, did a second one.
Oh, right. Okay, that's right too. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Emily Blunt, I got to cover the whole thing. But you're the Mary Poppins of the business world.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I like to think of myself as. So it's a lot of fun. And it's interesting because like when I was, going through junior high and high school, I babysat like all the time. I grew up in a small town community and I was the babysitter, always referred to as Mary Poppins. So it's just like, let's have a lot of fun. Let's bring some creativity, but then work also needs to get done, but we can make it in a fun way. Right. And so there's structure, organization, and their kids always became my kids. So I'm like, I'm with you guys forever, right? And so as I transitioned into throughout my career and into owning my own business now, that just kind of carried through because a lot of people are like, my business is my baby, right? Like blood, sweat, and tears goes into it. It's hard to trust somebody else to, take over or to manage some of it. And so it's like, okay, let's make this fun. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you said it right there. Trust is one of the core things that allows for an OBM business owner relationship to be successful.
Yes.
What do you think are like the foundations for building that trust?
Communication is huge.
Wow.
So, you might have some team members on with you that everybody brings different things to the table, right? But it's like you've got the doers that are like, okay, I'm just going to do, I'm not going to challenge the status quo, or I'm just like, yep, take my orders, let's go. But then you also, once you become a business owner, you're hearing stuff from all over the place, like, from your business coach, from your friends, from your other peers in the industry, right? That it can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so just to have somebody to just sit down, know what your values are, know what you're trying to do in your business, like have your yearly plan out and be like, oh, this is great. You heard about a new system that you want to implement? Awesome. Let's take this. Does it fit anywhere with our resources right now? We'll plunk it in if it does. If it doesn't, then we put it on the back burner and it could come back out again. So just to have somebody, to kind of challenge your thoughts, to integrate the visions and the dreams, right? So I think that's where that trust comes in. And I think that's really important. So that honest communication is huge. So, I mean, I'm not a yes woman, but it is your business. You have the final say, but let's talk about it and let's talk through the different scenarios, which is what I love about it. So,
yeah. Well, it's so funny because as a business owner who has an OBM myself, like it is someone who will say no to me.
Right.
Because otherwise, like I can like launch a new project every week and I can get excited about this and excited about that. And it's so great to have someone to be like, hey, no, that wasn't the plan. And also like, this is how you wanted the plan to be. If you go and do that, there's only one you.
Exactly.
Right. And there's only one me. So like, we can either work on this, we can adjust the plan if you want, but I think you still want this thing.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. And if you have a team like the VAs or like marketing people, right? Like they can't switch on a dime either. And, it's really easy to be reactive when we're doing our daily work and stuff. But if you can come to a spot where you can be proactive, it just makes the whole system go a lot smoother. And I always think it's kind of funny, like from my own experience, but also talking to peers, it's, why did you start your business? Well, a lot of times it comes up like, oh, I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted that flexibility. I wanted to create my own schedule, do what I want. But then, and that's great. But then you get to a certain time and you said it exactly. There's not enough time to do everything, right? So then I hear clients say, I just need somebody to manage me. So it can be, so it's really good, but and you being a business coach, like how do you gain trust with your clients?
Well, I think it's, it's like anything else. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
right? And so, when I have a first call with someone who's interested in working with me, yeah, sure. Like I'm getting all the information on like what their business is and can I help here? And I'm also paying attention to, do I like this person?
Right.
Because if you don't like someone, it's really hard to trust them. And
Yeah.
usually like liking happens both ways.
Yes.
I'm like noticing, like, are they laughing when I kind of tell a joke or whatever? Cause I feel like that indicates like a more solid foundation than anything else,
Yeah.
And also am I able to tune into the things that they want that they're not even saying that they want?
That's good. Yeah.
Because if I'm tuning in well there, then like they're going to know that we're connected.
Right.
There's like an energetic part to it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's part of like, I'm going to obviously let you schedule appointments with me, and I promise to show up to the appointments, like that's
important. Yes.
And of course, like, there's my track record, there's, my success with former clients, but oftentimes it's really that relationship that people need to feel safe and comfortable to come and talk about the things, present all the information, be open to ideas from me. Yes. And to guidance from me, and also feel comfortable pushing back.
Yeah.
Right. Because I can tell someone to do a webinar, and if they're like flat out against doing webinars, like they need to tell me that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that humanization. And I don't know if it's, if it would be the same if we're in person and stuff. Cause as a former client of yours as well, like we had some great chats, right? But then there's some days too that I was like, man, it'd be great just to meet her in person. Or like, some of my calls, I know I was like bawling like a baby because of all the emotions going through me, or, that kind of stuff too. It's just like, okay, well, a nice big hug would be okay. But
I know. I actually I was joking with another client, and I'm like, I play around with this idea of having like a deep dive slumber party with my client, where it's like a one-on-one like deep dive session on a Saturday, and then like we just like have a slumber party at my apartment and watch movies that night. And she was like, yes, please. Yes, I would love that. I want the first session, please.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Or you just do like a retreat or something, right? That you can like build in those one-on-one coaching. Let's go to like Mexico or something and slay on the beach, and just, other business owners. Like, oh,
so nice.
I think we have something going on. We might need to carry on that conversation.
I think so too.
That's funny. It was interesting because I saw you have an event coming up as well for your money archetypes as well. Yeah. So, and I gotta say, like, we had so many sessions together, and we'll get them going again. Just my what would I say? My kind of track changed a little bit. So, but I know that was one of the most, the hardest session I had with you, but also the most freeing. And it was just, basically you had me get a piece of money, and I had to hold it in my hand, and you walked through like a meditation type of thing, and just, it was so powerful. Yeah. And we were able to talk through that. That was one that I know I was just bawling like. So to hear that you're doing more focus into this with other people, and just that transformation it had for me, I'm so excited for the people that can work through that with you.
I know. Well, it's a part of building the business that, like, having a team that you trust. Like, if you don't trust money, if you don't have a solid relationship with money, or if you, the money archetypes training, and I'm sorry for the rest of you, this is actually only for my current and former clients, but I will be rolling it out to the public soon.
Oh, sorry. I let the secret.
Great teaser. I love that. It's just like planting the seed.
Yeah.
And David's done that exercise too. Yep. But the money archetypes, I'm really excited for it, because we all have like, like I'm an extrovert, introvert, whatever. You're one of those, and we all have different personality types. We also have personality types that go with our money. And for each personality type, for each archetype, we have different strengths and we have different weaknesses. We have different tendencies to do that we do when we're stressed. We have like there's a sacred code that each archetype has with money that makes you like attract more into you. And it's really interesting when you start partnering that with some of the more healing things like trauma of money stuff. Because it's really hard to like move forward and invite more money into your life when it's kind of been an abusive relationship up until now. And it
Absolutely.
triggers like a lot of traumatic memories and sadness and grief.
Mhm.
How would you be able to have a really good, solid, happy, healthy relationship with someone if all that junk is still happening?
Exactly.
So along with this conversation around trust in your business, like trust has to carry over into trusting money and trusting yourself with money.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm
Absolutely.
so happy that was an impactful exercise.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it and I remember your reaction to it. But it's funny, as a coach, you can never decide what's going to be the most impactful for your client.
Right.
Because it could be like an offhand comment that you make that
Yeah.
they remember years later, or it could
Yeah.
be something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's so many gems. And that's why anybody that I can talk to, it's like, you need a business coach. Like that is the number one investment, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes through. And you're absolutely right. It's that trust, it's that long-term relationship that you're trying to build. And even for my own clients, like, when we first work together, we do a 90-day dating period.
Mhm.
We get a lot of work done in that time, but it's just like, okay, tell
Yeah.
me about your business. Let's learn who you are. Let's get some processes documented. And then after the 90 days, it's like, okay, are we ready to get married and like make this a long-term thing? Or do we part ways? And you still got your investment of worth of our work together. And yeah, it's such a cool thing. So
Yeah. Well, I love that you build that in because it really does give you kind of this insight as to, do I want to be involved in this business?
absolutely.
Right? It gives you choice. It's
Yeah.
that way it gets to be a mutual decision going forward.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I think that was another key thing of working with you as well, right? Like you really build my own confidence to say, hey, I don't have to scrape to the bottom of the barrel to like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like
No.
client that I can just because I got to pay the bills at the end of the month. It's like, no, like, do I want to work with them as much as they want to work with me? And if there's any little red flags or whatever, it's like, it's okay. Like, hey, I'm not the person for you, but here's some recommendations that I can give you. And I think that goes such a long ways as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as business owners, we have to trust the people that are in our business, including our clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you are freaked out about money and you're like, oh, well, I have to take this client because I need the money, you're going to ignore those red flags and it's going to bite you in the ass later.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, and I always like for myself, when I think about people are like, oh, how's it going? Like, how's the business going? And for me, I can honestly say I'm in a point in my life where my heart's desires from when I was a little girl have become reality.
Yeah.
And just to see that transformation before my eyes. And even though I had a long wait, right, where there was a lot of impatience for this wait, it's all been kind of worth it in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But through that process, I had to let go of a lot of unhealthy relationships, even my career. I was in the corporate world for 13 years and, my values were misaligned and there was just a lot of stuff that I hung on because I'm not a quitter and I was going to give you 150% of me, but I'm also a human and I went into robotic mode, right? So eventually it was like, you can't do this anymore. And I hit an extreme burnout, like where it was scary. It was one of the most scariest times of my life. Like I was having panic attacks and, I was put on a disability where it's like, you got to worry about eating, sleeping, and gentle movement and breathing. Like that was it. That for 3 months, that's all I could do because my body just shut down. And it was so scary. But in the end, I had no choice but to let that corporate world go.
Yeah.
But then it was like, I always wanted to be own my own business. I wanted a family. And it was like, as soon as I let that go, all of this stuff came and it was just at the perfect timing. But just like the money, right? You have to heal that money relationship in order to attract more money. And so all areas of your life, man, it's hard, but if you can do that and you could like your tagline, which I love, is like, stop being a weenie, right? Everything happens at the right timing. And that trust.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're describing is what so many of us go through. It's like we have to go through this whole like purgatory of trying to prove that we are like enough and prove that we are like worthy of the work and worthy of the money. And we have to like go above and beyond and basically kill ourselves trying to prove that we're enough. And then there comes a moment where it's like, well, you can't continue this way. So what are the other alternatives? Like, what if I just am enough just right here where I am? What if I'm good enough right here? What if I like can trust myself to just show up and be me?
Yeah.
And not have to murder myself in the process.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're untrue to those values, like, what's in your heart, right? Eventually it's going to catch up to you. Your body's going to start giving you those warning signs, and you can push them down as much as you want, but you might be flat out on complete burnout mode for a long time and haven't been somebody that was there. Like, it was one of the biggest blessings in my life. So I'm not like, oh, I wish that had never happened, because it got me to where I am today. But it's like, let those things go before you get completely wiped out.
Well, and I love that the WHO has acknowledged burnout as an actual disease. It not only impacts your body and like your physical health, it impacts how your brain functions. It impacts your cognitive ability. So like when you're in burnout, you literally can't think straight.
No.
You just can't. You can't reason. I had someone who was in a program with me who was a C-suite executive, and in her purview was the company's security. And she was home one Saturday and she got a phone call from someone saying that her Apple account had been hacked and that they needed her to give them some bank account information. And she was just so in burnout that she couldn't even figure out how to get into her bank account to give them the information. So they literally talked her into going to the Walgreens down the street to buy some Visa gift cards for $100. Wow. She spent $500 on Visa gift cards and like gave them the information on it. Wow. Before she later her husband came home and was like, what happened? Like, why are there $500 worth of charges on our debit card? She's like explaining it to him. And he's like, that's not real.
Right.
That's not real. But like, she was so in burnout, like her brain just had shorted out, and she was able to like do like the basics of her job, but like that wasn't translating over into her personal life.
No.
Yeah. I mean, she went down to Walgreens, I think like 3 times in that one phone call. And you can't live life that way. You can survive that way.
That's right. But it's temporary.
It's temporary. Yeah. Like you're going to the fuse is going to go out at some point.
That's right.
But like life is meant to be lived in such a fuller way.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And I think that's, what drove me into being an online business manager as well. Because it's like, as a business owner, I see for myself that it can be easy to get burned out, right? Like you're wearing 17 different hats, right? Which is ironically a system I enjoy working with, is 17 hats. But it's true. You got like the marketing, the accounting, you name it, you are responsible for it. And then that's just in your business. Then if you have a family or a partner or your friends, right? Like there is such a invisible mental load is a term that I enjoy, not enjoy, but that just really sums it all up, right? So even though it's not tangible things like, oh my gosh, look at this, I went and sent 50 emails today. There is such a invisible mental load that you carry. And when you're a business owner, you can easily just feel like you're alone and that this is part of what it is. And just that importance of reach out for help, be supported. It's okay. Everybody, you've got your business coach. They're going to help you with certain things. And you've got your virtual assistant that might help you with doing things, and your marketing team. And just then lets you go into your zone of genius, and your passion will always be fueled. And I think that's what's going to make somebody strive and be successful.
Yeah. So I have a question for you here, because this is where I struggle. And I know a lot of other business owners struggle with this. If you have a client who's really struggling to delegate stuff and really let it go.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know my tendency is like, I'll explain what I want, hand it off, and then I'll get nervous, and then it'll be done like slightly wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself.
Right.
Like, fuck it. Like it'll take me more time to explain to you how you did it wrong and how I want it done better than it will for me to just jump in. And that's not where businesses grow and scale, because it's just, you're constantly going to be the bottleneck.
Yep.
So what do you suggest for your clients who are in that?
Yeah. So again, going back to our trust comment, or conversation, but the biggest thing is, who are you delegating to? Do you fully trust them? And that trust needs to be built up over a certain period of time, but that's okay. But the other thing where a lot of business owners, it's all up in their head, right? And if you have a conversation, it can easily be misinterpreted or changed, and everybody just has a different way of doing things. So one of the projects that I'm passionate about is documenting your processes. Yeah. So that way, if Katie is delegating something in, say, sending emails to certain people, depending on where they are in the workflow of being a client, you have a standardized template. You have the step-by-step of how to do it, because that way anybody can do that process. And we can get to a point where we can even automate it, right, within your systems, that it just happens without a manual person going behind the keyboard and doing it. But, you are healthy, you're running your business and stuff, but you might want to go on a holiday, or you end up sick in the hospital unexpectedly. Like, do you need that business to come to a halt? No, you want to make sure that it's still going and that someone else can run it. So, being that nervousness to delegate it stuff, if you can have clear processes and step-by-step instructions with some screenshots or some like little videos of how to do it, then whoever's behind the screen can do it to your standards. They're not knocking, or I guess not knocking on your door, because we're not in person, but sending you an email or a Voxer, or like picking up the phone being like, oh, Katie, I can't remember, what did you say? What am I supposed to do? Then that way there, you're building that trust up with them as well. And if it's still not done to your standards, then that becomes a, now it just slipped my mind, but then it becomes like a working issue, right? Where it's just like, you're not meeting the expectations that I have set out. Right. And so then it's a performance issue. That's the word for it. And then you've got to decide, like, okay, is this person really the person that I need for this role? And so that there, I think, is a lot of it. And then, yeah, you're right. You can get so focused on the details that nothing happens. Right. So there's a little bit of like, hey, that's maybe not what I would do exactly, but let's try it, because maybe that's going to reach a different audience. Or, like you said, for coaching as well, you want somebody that's going to be open-minded to trying new things. Yeah. And even when you're working with your team, it's important that you're a little bit open-minded to try new things, because it could take you past that threshold that you've been stuck under, right? So
yeah. Well, I think also the important part is that you have to remember like why you hired someone like this in the first place.
That's right.
It's like hiring a copywriter to come in and do like SEO copywriting for your website, and then deciding, well, I don't really like this topic. I want to change this. Like this just doesn't I don't like this article. And the SEO copywriter being like, okay, well, I'm happy to edit certain things, but if you want to attract this kind of person, this is what they're Googling.
Exactly.
And this is like their need that ties to what you do. Like, there's this whole mentality behind it. And I think this goes into charging enough for your work that people like respect what you do for them.
For sure. Absolutely. Yep. And then that's where that proactive piece can come in as well, right? Because you're like, okay, hey, copywriter, I want you to write this blog. And then they, go off, write it up. And like you said, I don't really like it. Yeah. Then you're paying them again to redo the work, right? So it's like, where are we going with the company over the next year, right? Like, are we going to start transitioning what our voice is going to be saying? The people that we're trying to attract, have we kind of tapped out in this market that we need to kind of broaden that net, right? So just having that game plan. And then especially if you have team under you, right, that it's like, everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows that one goal that we're going to. And yeah, there might be some fluctuation and changes, but then I think that communication going down to your team would really help the business owner to be able to just kind of let go and be like, okay, I've got my trust in the team. I don't need to be logging in Sunday night and going through everything, because then you are training your team as well. You don't trust them.
Right.
Right. And then you're back in this vicious cycle that you're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
So,
which no one wants.
Nobody wants that. And if you aren't sure how to thought about that, I will tell you from experience, you don't want it.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. Someone is like thinking that they're at the point where they want to scale, but aren't really sure what this looks like and getting help. And they're curious and working with you. What would be the best way for them to get in touch and kind of try things out?
Yeah, for sure. So I can be reached at www.eyes2analyze.com. And so I offer just a free reduce your business overwhelm strategy call. So let's get on the call. Let's just talk. That's all it is. There's no commitment to buying anything or to hire me for my services. I've got a great referral network as well. But, we can really flush out, is it team members that you're needing to hire? Is it, someone to manage it? Where are you looking at? Is it a system thing? Like one of my recent clients, she's like, I am in a rocket ship for my business. It is like doing so good. This rocket ship is flying to the moon, but it's going to explode at any time because the foundational stuff that's supposed to be supporting it, it's a Mod Podge of like, I don't know what's working. And so it's just like, hey, maybe we just have to do a system audit. Let's sit down for a couple hours together and we'll go through what systems are you using? What functionality are you using? Prime example, one of my clients was using a system called Active Campaign for her email marketing. Yeah. And then they started going down this road to implement a client relationship management tool. And I was like, whoa. Like, did you know that Active Campaign does a CRM type of module with like the deals and stuff? And it was just like, what? Like, I don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for another system. It's like, no, you're already paying for it. Like, let's just start using that for your business. And so those are those things, unless you're going to be going to YouTube University to figure it out, then they don't necessarily come easy. So,
well, also, I mean, YouTube University, love it.
Don't get for sure. Yeah, there's nothing wrong, but it's a time.
Well, it's time, but you also have to know what questions to ask.
Exactly.
Like if you don't even know the question to ask, like that's why you bring other people into your business. Cause like you just kind of know, like, here's where I'm stuck and here's what I want. They're going to understand at least the questions that you need to put into YouTube University to figure out how to do the thing.
Totally. Yes. Very good point. For sure.
I took a coding course at one point and like, I kind of quit halfway through because they were literally just teaching us like how to Google shit. Like, and there are a lot of other problems with the coding program.
Right.
But, they had some very weird promises that they made that they shouldn't have made, that they couldn't guarantee at all. But it was just very funny because I'm like, I feel like I know how to use Google already, but it really is like you have to just learn like what terms to Google.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So,
if you were to give a final piece of advice to online business owners who are scaling, what would it be?
I would probably have to say is reach out for help before you get burned out. I think that's very important. It's easier to be like, oh, well, everything's a mess. I don't want somebody to come in and see where it is. It's like, no, like I'm very proud about where you are today because you've gotten this far doing what you're doing. So kudos to you for that, right? Like, don't be so hard on yourself. But like, before you get burnt out, before you want to just shut down your business, despite all the hard work that you've had and that there's parts of your business that just lights you on fire and that's your passion. It's like, reach out for help and let's, clear that mess and quiet that mind and just refocus. And, you'll be surprised. Like if you've hit that threshold that you don't have the time anymore, that you need to just totally, not sure where you're going to go. It's like, hey, getting that support, you will skyrocket past where your expectations are and grow even further just by reaching out. So yeah.
I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Well, Jackie, thank you so much for being here with me today. This is so nice to see you and spend some time with you. And I hope to have you back again soon.
Yes, this was wonderful. Such a great chat. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And for those of you who tuned in, David Fryman, anyone else who was watching but didn't comment, thank you for being with us. Today is day 9 of me going live every single day in December. So we're going to keep this going for the rest of the month. But thank you for tuning in today. I hope you found this super valuable. And I'm Katie McManus, and this is Jackie Weisbeek. And have an amazing weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.